This is going to be a brilliant video. In fact, this might be the best YouTube video I've ever made. So sit back, relax and enjoy as I take a deep dive into the first ever Club World Cup from a betting perspective. We should have a huge edge bet in this tournament because I am one of the very few people in the world that watches hundreds of hours of football from all over the world. So in the Club World Cup, we've got 32 teams from various parts of the world, and I'm very familiar with all of them. So in this video, we are going to be taking a look at all of the prop bets for the tournament relating to the Club World Cup. So which players are likely to finish top goal scorer, which teams could win the whole tournament, and which teams are very likely to progress out of the group stages and move through the tournament. I'm very confident we're going to be able to make a profit from these bets because my record with these kind of bets is very good. If you go back on YouTube and you watch my videos for the Champions League, the World Cup 3 years ago, or the Euros last summer, when it comes to tournament prop betting, over the long term, we tend to do pretty well. So buckle up, grab a drink, relax. This is going to be a good one. Now, before we get into taking a look at the bets, what I will say is that I will be sharing a lot of bets in this video. It could be 10, 20, 30 different betting tips. Now, obviously, anything can happen when it comes to betting on sports. This is a risky game and you do not want to be committing a huge chunk of your bankroll to one singular tournament, because if you tail these bets, you're going to have lots of different action on the table at the same time. And if we end up doing terribly, you don't want to do significant damage to your bankroll on just one tournament. So when we're dealing with this many bets, it's very important to come up with a bankroll management strategy, a money management strategy, which isn't going to leave you in trouble if the worst case scenario happens and we get destroyed. So what I will do is open up a separate betting account specific for this tournament, and I will take an amount of money from my bankroll that I am comfortable losing. Worst case scenario, and we place 30 bets and they all lose, I'm comfortable losing that amount of money, and it's not going to do any significant harm to my overall bankroll in that betting account. And hopefully we can turn that betting account into much more and we can make a very good profit. But worst case scenario, if the tournament turns out to be a total disaster, we're not going to do any significant harm to our bankroll. It's really, really, really important that I just state that in the beginning, because obviously if you are placing a lot of bets, you never know what can happen in sports betting. Things can go badly wrong, and so you don't want to overexpose yourself and blow up a bankroll that you might have spent years building. So before we get into the betting tips, we need to map out how we think the tournament is going to go, because if we can map out who we think is going to advance from the group stages and then right the way through to the finalists, that's going to help us predict things like top goal scorer more accurately, because we're going to be able to see which players will play against teams with kind of worse defenses and things like that, and also which teams will go deeper into the tournament, because obviously the more games you play, the more chances you have to score more goals. So we need to map out the tournament, predict our groups, predict our knockout games, and then we can refer to that as we're looking through the tournament prop bets to hopefully find some really good bets. So I'm going to be using this website. I will leave a link to it in the description below. It is clubworldcuppredictor.com. It's the best tournament bracket predictor that I could find, where you can kind of make your group picks here and then make your knockout stage pick. So this is the best website I could find. You can also create like private leagues and things on here. So I have set up a private league for us as well. I'll leave a code to join that private league as well in the description below. So you can sign up for this website, you can join our private league, and I'm going to be giving away a few prizes in the tournament league. What I'm going to do, the person that wins the tournament predictor league is going to get 1 year of free access to my football betting group. That's a whole year. So if you win the tournament predictor competition league thing that I've set up, find the code to join in the description below. You could get a year's free access to my football betting group, which I think you're going to like a lot. You can score points by correctly predicting how the tournament is going to go, as well as predicting scores and results from each individual game. So if you go to the rules page, it explains all the different things you can score points for. 2 points for correctly predicting what position a team finishes in the group, all this sort of stuff. All good. So join the league. Compete with me. I'll be in the league as well. Top place gets a year's free access to my football betting group. Second place, 6 months free access. Third place, 3 months free access. So get in on that, compete. It's all free, it's all fun and games, and see how you do, man. You'll be competing against me as well. So we will start by mapping out the tournament, how we think the tournament is going to go, and that'll make it much easier for us to find value bets when we go through all of the tournament props, all the long-term tournament props. We can refer to how we map this tournament out, hopefully find some really good value, really plus EV bets that will enable us to make a profit on this tournament overall. So we'll start with Group A. So Porto should win this group. They're by far the strongest team in the group. And then you've got Palmeiras, Al Ahly, and Inter Miami. So Inter Miami are kind of the poster boys for this tournament. Obviously Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez plays for them. United States is the host nation. And Inter Miami's home stadium is actually one of the stadiums that will be hosting this tournament. So Messi is all over the branding for the Club World Cup. But this is a tournament where I do feel Inter Miami may struggle very bad. And I think they will struggle to make it out of the group stages. The problem with Inter Miami, there's actually two huge problems with Inter Miami. The first problem with Inter Miami is that they're very bad defensively. The third problem with Inter Miami is that they've got 3 big names that they play most weeks in Sergio Busquets, Luis Suarez, and also Lionel Messi, who are obviously amazing players in their prime. And they're still big names now. But the problem is they are all way past their prime and very old now. So, you know, when you go on social media, when you go on X, you'll probably see every other week a highlight of Messi scoring from an amazing set piece. He's definitely still got that in him, but he just doesn't have the legs to really run anymore. I mean, he was never the kind of guy to kind of track back and chip in defensively. So the problem Inter Miami have got, not only is their backline dodgy, not only are they weak defensively, but you've got Sergio Busquets, Luis Suarez, and Lionel Messi who just don't have the legs in them. They don't have the energy to track back anymore. And so when Inter Miami lose possession in transition, they're wide open to the counter-attack, because not only are they bad defensively, but they also only really get 8 men behind the ball, or 8 men in positions to defend, because Busquets, Suarez and Messi are fucking useless, to be honest, in defensive positions. So I think Inter Miami could really struggle in this tournament. For me, Porto very likely to win the group. Palmeiras very likely to finish second in the group. For me, Inter Miami, Al Ahly, whichever way you have it, they're probably going to go out in the group stages. The only way I could see Inter Miami qualifying here would be if Palmeiras just don't show up for the tournament and they're not motivated. The thing about Brazilian teams, they do tend to have pretty bad attitudes away from home. So a lot of the time when you'll see these Brazilian clubs play, they just won't really try very hard away from home. They won't really show up. So that is kind of a lifeline for Inter Miami, even though as a team they're nowhere near the level of Palmeiras. If Inter Miami is super motivated and hard working and they come into the tournament with a great attitude as the host nation, which I would expect them to, maybe on work rate and heart and determination they can nick second place. But I'm going to go with Palmeiras just because the prize money is absolutely huge. It is the first tournament of its kind, and Palmeiras just have a lot more quality than both Inter Miami and Al Ahly. So we'll go Porto first, Palmeiras second. Group B, pretty straightforward this one. PSG to finish top of the group, Atletico Madrid second. Botafogo, far better than Seattle Sounders. Botafogo are like the Real Madrid of Brazilian football. They're the biggest, most successful club in Brazil at the moment. They won the Copa Libertadores last season, so I'm very happy with Group B. Group C, we'll go Bayern Munich, top of Group C. Benfica, second place. Then we'll go Boca Juniors, Auckland City. Auckland City are the weakest team in the tournament by a mile. They're in a lot of trouble, and they're probably going to get smashed in every single game. Group D, we will go Chelsea top. Now, the second place is between Los Angeles FC and Flamengo. And with Group D, we're in a similar position to Group A, where Flamengo are by far the better team. They are a better team than Los Angeles. Los Angeles have a lot of the same problems that Inter Miami have, in that they're very poor defensively. But Flamengo, similar to Palmeiras, just have, the fact that they're a Brazilian club means that quite often they'll demonstrate a bad attitude away from home and lack discipline and don't always work the hardest. So Los Angeles are another one of the host teams. They'll have the crowd behind them. They do have quality, Buanga, Olivier Giroud, Lloris in goal for them. They've got a lot of quality in the team. I think they've got a better chance of going through than Inter Miami do, because I feel Los Angeles have got a lot more firepower than Inter Miami, which I know is a crazy thing to say because Inter Miami have got Messi, but Los Angeles have got more energy, more creativity in numbers. Everything Inter Miami try and do going forward goes through Messi, whereas Los Angeles have got more weapons they can use to hurt you. There's a young Brazilian in their team called Anthony who's very, very good. I'm going to go with Los Angeles to make it out the group here. Just because, like I say, Brazilian clubs tend to demonstrate pretty bad attitudes, especially away from home. Group E, we are going to go for Inter Milan to finish in first place. We are going to go for... We'll go Monterrey to finish second. And I will explain why in a moment. And actually, I think River Plate will finish bottom. And I think Urawa Red Diamonds will finish third. I mean, at the moment, doesn't really matter who gets eliminated, right? We're looking at teams who advance, but we may find a bit of value or some good value bets in betting on Urawa Red Diamonds to do better in this tournament than most people expect. Because River Plate are a famous Argentinian club, they're one of the biggest, most successful clubs in Argentina. They frequently sell big players to Europe. They've got kind of an illustrious name, but Argentinian football, despite producing some of the best players of all time, the Argentinian domestic league is actually extremely poor quality. And I think River Plate very likely to struggle in this tournament. If it wasn't for the fact that Auckland City are literally the worst tournament or the worst team in the tournament, I would have Boca finishing bottom as well if they were in with almost any other team in this tournament. So I think Inter Milan will win the group. They're in a pretty weak group. Inter Milan, out of all the big clubs in this tournament, have probably got the easiest group to deal with. I will go Monterrey second, simply because when we watch the Leagues Cup in the United States, the Mexican fans, the Mexicans that live in the United States, Mexican Americans, I don't know what you'd call them, but they really show out. So even though the United States is the home nation, so clubs like Inter Miami, Los Angeles FC, and Seattle Sounders, they're going to have a lot of support behind them. I'd expect the Mexican clubs like Monterrey, like Pachuca, I'd expect them to have a lot of support as well, just because of how many Mexicans live in the United States. So I think home advantage alone will carry Monterrey through this group. I think Urawa Red Diamonds are a better team than River Plate, even though in terms of name value and kind of history and everything, most people will pick River Plate to probably finish second in the group. I think they'll struggle. Group F, Borussia Dortmund, by far the strongest team in the group. Fluminense, obviously second place. And then we'll go Ulsan Hyundai to finish against Mamelodi Sundowns. Ulsan Hyundai, one of the biggest successful clubs in South Korea. They're a better footballing team than Mamelodi Sundowns. So Group G, we'll go Man City to finish top of the group, and Juventus to finish second, Wydad and Al Ain to finish third and fourth. I will stick with that just because Wydad, even though they don't have the big names that Al Ain have, they are a better footballing team. They're one of the biggest teams in Morocco. Good team of footballers. They don't have as much firepower as Al Ain, but they're well organised and a good footballing team. But I think Man City, Juventus will go through there. Group H, we were talking about how Monterrey will likely go through in Group E due to home advantage. Pachuca are the only other Mexican club in the tournament. But I'm going to go Real Madrid top. I'm actually going to go for Al Hilal in second. I'm very confident that Al Hilal will finish second in this group. Third and fourth place then is pretty tough because Salzburg have got a lot more quality than Pachuca. But again, home advantage, all the Mexican fans are going to show out big time for Pachuca. So quite likely Pachuca will get points on the board. Salzburg may really struggle. But I'm very confident that Al Hilal of Saudi Arabia will finish second. They've got by far the most quality in this group out of Pachuca and Salzburg, and on top of that, I wouldn't even be surprised if Al Hilal give Real Madrid a little bit of trouble. There's a crazy, wild, hot take for you. Again, team spirit, heart, work rate goes a long way in football, and Al Hilal have got an abundance of all of that. On top of that, where we were talking about Brazilian clubs like Flamengo, Fluminense, Palmeiras, Botafogo, not being the best away from home and having a bad attitude, Al Hilal are the total opposite. When they play in Saudi Arabia, they are the most successful club in Saudi Arabia at the moment. Every week, when they travel around Saudi Arabia for their away games, they often face hostile atmospheres. They always rise to the occasion and put in a big shift. So I think Al Hilal, they're dark horses for this tournament. They're not going to win the tournament, but they might go deeper, depending on who they run into in the round of 16. So let's make our picks now for the round of 16. So Atletico Madrid versus Porto. We'll go for Atletico Madrid to win that game. Although what I will say is these are two clubs which may not be the most motivated in this tournament. Bayern Munich versus Los Angeles FC. Gotta go Bayern Munich. Inter Milan Fluminense. We gotta go Inter Milan. Al Hilal. We said they may be dark horses to go deep. Unfortunately, they run into Man City in the round of 16. So I doubt they will go that deep. We have to take Man City. Paris Saint-Germain versus Palmeiras. Gotta take PSG. Chelsea Benfica. Have to go Chelsea. Monterrey Borussia Dortmund. You have to take Borussia Dortmund. And Real Madrid against Juventus, we have to take Real Madrid. Not too difficult to pick the round of 16. I'm sure it'll get tougher. Quarterfinals, Bayern Munich versus Atletico Madrid. Throughout this video, you're going to be hearing me talk about attitude a lot. Attitude and footballing culture. It's a big part in making money from betting on a tournament like this. And when we look at attitude and footballing culture, we know Bayern Munich have a better attitude. We know Bayern Munich, even when there's absolutely nothing to play for in a game, will always show up and give 100%, whereas the Spanish team, Atletico Madrid, not so much. You never know what version of them you're going to get. You never know what their motivation level is going to be like. So I will take Bayern Munich purely based on the fact that I know they're going to play to win every game in this tournament. Next game, Manchester City versus Inter Milan. These are two teams with something to prove. Inter Milan just got beat by the biggest margin in a Champions League final ever against Paris Saint-Germain. So they're probably going to be coming into the tournament with something to prove, with a chip on their shoulder. 6 weeks ago, they were on to do the treble, right? They were in the final of the semi-final of the Italian Cup. They were top of the Italian Premier League, the Italian Serie A, and they were also heading towards a Champions League final. They ended up not winning a single trophy. They got knocked out of the Italian Cup by AC Milan. Napoli pipped them to the domestic title, and then obviously they suffered a massive defeat against PSG in the Champions League final. So they are going to be coming into this tournament like wounded dogs, and those are the type of teams you have to watch. But speaking of wounded dogs, they're running into another wounded dog, Manchester City. Obviously, Manchester City finished the lowest league position in quite a while. They also lost the FA Cup final to Crystal Palace and didn't get anywhere near the Champions League. I'm personally going to go with Manchester City because I think they've got a lot more firepower up front. Goals win games, but that's a very, very good tie. Next game, we're going to go for Paris Saint-Germain. We talk about attitude and we talk about culture and what a difference 12 months makes. Last season, we have the likes of Mbappe in Paris Saint-Germain. They were a team full of mercenaries, a team that looked like they had no soul and no heart and no drive and determination to win when things got tough. All that has changed. Now you got a squad of young, hungry bulls and an abundance of strength and depth in the squad as well. Chelsea, very much the same as Paris Saint-Germain, a squad full of young, hungry bulls, but PSG a lot more quality. They're coming into the tournament on the high, full of confidence after winning the Champions League. Quarterfinals, Borussia Dortmund versus Real Madrid. We're going to go with Real Madrid. They massively underperformed in the La Liga this season. They massively underperformed in the Champions League, but they've obviously replaced Carlo Ancelotti with Xavi Alonso, and this is Xavi Alonso's first opportunity to make an impact. And I think that Real Madrid, again, similar to Inter Milan and Manchester City, will come into this tournament with something to prove. Alexander-Arnold is obviously signed for them as well. So we'll go Real Madrid Semi-finals, Bayern Munich versus Manchester City. What a tie. And PSG versus Real Madrid. The Champions League final we were robbed of. Very difficult games to predict. But I will go Bayern Munich purely based on attitude alone. They've got an attitude and a strong will to win. Manchester City are low in confidence. It's a tough game for Man City. I want to pick Man City, but I think Bayern Munich will be a force in this tournament just because of their attitude, their fitness levels, their work rate. That's not being detrimental to Manchester City, but I trust Bayern Munich to be consistent. Bayern Munich aren't losing an FA Cup final to Crystal Palace. I tell you that for free. The next semi-final, Paris Saint-Germain against Real Madrid. Oh my God, this is what dreams are made of. I hope we get this game in the semi-finals. Real Madrid's, well, the brand new version of Real Madrid under Xavi Alonso versus the new kids on the back block. The youthfulness, the spirit, the heart, the determination of Paris Saint-Germain. Could we be seeing a new dominant dynasty in European football? Perhaps this semi-final will answer that question. May as well flip a coin on this one. I'm actually going to go PSG, but very difficult to call. And then in the final, if it does turn out to be Bayern Munich versus Paris Saint-Germain, I would take Paris Saint-Germain to win the tournament. Why? Because Bayern Munich, for all of their hard work and discipline and great attitude, probably has the best attitude out of any team in the club any team in the Club World Cup. For me, Bayern Munich are still a bit vulnerable in transition, quite weak defensively. They concede goals in almost every game. That is dangerous when you're going up against a club like Paris Saint-Germain with this much firepower up front. Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Doué, and that's just the starting lineup. You have to worry about, guys like Barcola, Ramos coming off the bench. PSG have got a lot of firepower to hurt a club like Bayern Munich. So now that we've mapped out our entire tournament, this is how it looks. We can keep this up and we can refer to it as we are working our way through all of these tournament props, which we're very much hoping will enable us to make a profit on this tournament. So we start off with the outright winners of the tournament. Who do we want to go for? Are we going to be placing any bets here? So for me, obviously, we ended up coming to Paris Saint-Germain as the winners of the tournament, which you can see are currently at odds of 6.0 plus 500. Personally, because there are so many quality teams in this tournament, Real Madrid, Man City, Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern Munich, usually what I would do when looking at outright winners is kind of look in this middle area where you've got odds of like 8.0, 9.0, plus 700, plus 800, up to like 26.0, plus 2,500. Because when you're talking about betting on who's going to win a tournament outright with as many quality teams in it as this, you really want to be getting a very good risk to reward for your money, because it's not that likely that these bets are going to win. I don't know if PSG to win the tournament at 6.0 plus 500 is a particularly good deal, but one strategy we've had a lot of success with using on past major tournaments like this is betting on teams to win outright at reasonably good odds that have an extremely high probability of going very deep in the tournament. Because sometimes you can find yourself in a situation where if you take a club like Bayern Munich at 8.0 plus 700, even if you don't think they're going to win the tournament outright, if they've got a relatively easy path to the final through the tournament bracket, what you may find yourself in a situation is if Bayern Munich can have an easy path to the final and you bet them to win the tournament outright at 8.0, if they get to the final, you may then easily be able to bet the other team in the final for guaranteed profit. So what we're going to look at here is to see if there's any opportunities like that. We're going to take a look at the teams that we think will make the semi-finals, and then we're going to look at the path that each of these four teams has to the semi-final. And if any of these teams have relatively easy paths, it might be worth taking a shot on them to win outright with the view to hedge further down the line. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be making a follow-up video telling you to hedge. You're going to have to use some common sense to lock in guaranteed profit yourself. Or you can slide into my Discord link in the description below and you can just ask me. But if I do give out bets here on teams to win the tournament outright, it will mostly be with a view at some point to hedge and lock in guaranteed profit, betting both sides of a game that could go either way. So we'll start off by Bayern Munich. They should absolutely sail through this group. Boca Juniors, Auckland City, very likely to go out. They're very likely to finish top as well. They would play LAFC in the round of 16. They should beat them easily. And then Atletico Madrid in the quarterfinals is a tricky one. And then they've got Man City in the semi-finals. So that's quite a tough path for Bayern Munich. All I would say is they're very likely to finish top of the group. If they didn't finish top of the group, something crazy happened and they finished second, they would then play Chelsea instead of LAFC in the round of 16. I think they'd beat LAFC or Chelsea pretty comfortably. So from my perspective, if you do take Bayern Munich to win outright at 8.0, you're essentially betting on Bayern Munich to qualify against Atletico Madrid at odds of 8.0. And I would imagine that if Bayern Munich do get this far, which they absolutely should, they would probably be around 2.2 odds, which is plus 120 to beat Atletico Madrid. To qualify, you're probably looking at 1.90 minus 110 with Atletico Madrid, or maybe not, maybe like 1.70 minus 140 with Atletico Madrid. Slight underdogs, 2.20 plus 120. I do like Bayern Munich to win the tournament outright. Not because I think they will win the tournament outright, but because I think they'll make the quarterfinals. And that means before the Atletico Madrid game, we should get an opportunity to lock in guaranteed profit. So we will take Bayern Munich at 8.0. But remember, guys, this is with the view to lock in guaranteed profit. So the next team would be Manchester City. So Manchester City, yeah, they should qualify out that group, no problem. Even if they finish second, they would. Oh, if they finish second, they would play Real Madrid in the. And you know what? I will say this. Most people that are going to be watching this tournament won't take a club like Al Hilal seriously. I'm telling you, if Crystal Palace were able to win an FA Cup final against Manchester City, don't rule out the possibility of Al Hilal causing them a few problems. Al Hilal are a top team. Very high work rate, great attitude. So Man City, thing is, if they were to drop points against Juventus, I mean, Juventus are shit. So I don't think Juventus are going to finish top of this group. They've got even more problems than Man City. So Man City will play Al Hilal in the round of 16. We'll give Man City a miss. We got Bayern Munich. All right, who's the next team? Paris Saint-Germain. Okay, so again, tricky. All right, so they should finish top of this group, but they're in a group with Atletico. If they didn't finish top, so if they did finish top, they'd play Palmeiras. If they didn't finish top, they would play Porto. Again, not the easiest round of 16 game against Porto, but you would expect them to get through Palmeiras or Porto. If they then progress to the quarterfinals, they would play Chelsea or Atletico. Not loving PSG too much either. Okay, final club, Real Madrid. So Real Madrid should sail through this group. They should finish top as well. Then they would play Juventus in the round of 16. They should get past them. Borussia Dortmund quarterfinals. They should get past them. Okay, so Real Madrid I'm liking, especially with Xabi Alonso as their manager. Real Madrid are the favourites 5.0. Are the odds a little steep? You'd think they'd be slight underdogs against PSG, to be fair, but we could find ourselves in a position where we've bet Real Madrid to progress from this game at odds of 5.0, when their to qualify odds in this game would be like 2.1 plus 110. You'd expect PSG to be slight favourites in this one. Do you know what? We're going to give it a miss. I'm going to go for Bayern Munich to win outright. We will stick with that. We will likely get a chance to hedge for guaranteed profit at some point. I just feel if you look at Bayern Munich's path through the tournament, their group is quite weak. They face a very easy round of 16 game compared to Al Hilal for Man City, who could cause them problems. Juventus could cause Madrid problems. You know, we don't know if PSG are going to be playing Porto or Palmeiras. Then in this round, again, Bayern Munich, I fancy him to get past Atletico, to be honest. So, yeah, we'll go Bayern Munich. We'll go Bayern Munich. All right, so that's the first prop. Bayern Munich at 8.0. Look to hedge out, though, for guaranteed profit. So the next betting market that we're going to be taking a look at is the top goal scorer betting market. Now, back in the World Cup, we correctly predicted that Kylian Mbappe would finish top goal scorer, and in the year after, we correctly predicted that Harry Kane would finish top goal scorer of the Champions League. If you go back, watch my predictions videos for those tournaments on YouTube, you will see us make those correct predictions, and this is where we really get into the weeds. So if you're still watching up until this point, this is where the gold comes in, the gems, the valuable information, and the deep strategy that you can hopefully use to apply to other tournaments that you bet, maybe other sports that you bet, and hopefully this kind of strategy will enable you to get a pretty big edge when we're talking about betting tournament props. So the strategy that I use for consistently at a pretty good win rate predicting which players will finish top goal scorers of major tournaments, there's two things I look at. The first thing is you want to look at which teams are likely to progress through the tournament and play a lot of teams that are bad defensively. Because even though we've got a bunch of teams here that are very likely to finish top of their group, depending on what teams are in their group will likely determine how many goals their strikers are likely to score. Then when we look at the knockout games, some knockout games are going to be tighter than others because teams have different styles of football. Some teams are bad defensively, some prioritize defense. So this is where our edge and knowing a lot about all these different clubs can really come in and give us a great chance of making a profit on this tournament, because there's very few people in the world that watch as much football as me from all over the world, and therefore very few people that will be thinking on this deep level in terms of how teams are going to progress through a tournament and which of the teams that are likely to go deep in the tournament will play the most teams that have bad defenses. So that's the first thing I look at when we're trying to consider which players are likely to finish top goal scorer. The second thing that you must consider, and this is very important, you must pick a player that is going to be on preferably set piece and penalty duty, but at a minimum they must be on penalty duty. A really good example of this was Lionel Messi in the last World Cup. I think Lionel Messi finished joint top goal scorer with Kylian Mbappe. I said earlier we correctly predicted Kylian Mbappe to finish top goal scorer. We did, but we had to split the odds because he scored, I think, the exact same number of goals as Lionel Messi. And what was interesting about that tournament is that Lionel Messi barely scored a single goal from open play. Almost all of the goals that he scored were from free kicks and penalties. Argentina had a very high volume of penalties in that tournament, which enabled him to score a lot of goals and artificially inflated. Well, you can't say it's artificially inflating the amount of goals he scored in the tournament, because it's not. However, obviously, it's a lot harder to score goals from open play than if you just gifted penalties. And in a tournament like this, where you got VAR, you know, there's going to be a lot of penalties in this tournament. So as we're scanning through, we want to straight away eliminate players that might not be on penalty or free kick duty. So we know Kylian Mbappe should be on penalty duty, although obviously Vinicius Jr. sometimes takes them. He randomly took a penalty in the Champions League, which cost them pretty big. Harry Kane will definitely be on penalties. Erling Haaland may not be on penalties. Marmoush, similar to Mbappe at Madrid, Mbappe takes most of the penalties, but sometimes Vinicius Jr. does. Haaland takes most of the penalties, sometimes Marmoush does. Ousmane Dembele, he probably isn't going to be taking penalties for Paris Saint-Germain. There's a bunch of players at PSG who could be taking penalties. Guirassy definitely, Soloth no, Vinicius Jr., Bradley Barcola, Julian Alvarez, Lautaro Martinez. Okay, it gets dicey. It gets pretty fucking dicey past Harry Kane. So, for me, it's quite interesting. It's actually quite interesting because coming into doing this video, I wouldn't say I was super bullish on Bayern Munich to do very well in this tournament, but we've already got a bet on them to win the tournament outright. And now, out of all the players here, I'm eyeing up Harry Kane to finish top goal scorer. And look, he did come through for us in recent years when we picked him to finish top goal scorer in the Champions League. And the thing is, when you're dealing with bets in this odds range, you don't need to hit a huge win rate in order to make a good long-term profit. And we certainly make a good long-term profit on bets such as this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at Real Madrid's path through the tournament. I'm going to look at Bayern Munich's path through the tournament. I'm going to look at Man City's path through the tournament. I think we've already established Bayern Munich have one of the easiest runs through the tournament. But let's look at the group stages and how many teams are bad defensively that each of the clubs that are likely to go deep will face. Because you've kind of got three candidates within the semi-finalists. You've got Harry Kane for Bayern Munich, Haaland for Man City, and you've got Mbappe for Real Madrid. I wouldn't pick a player from PSG to finish top goal scorer because there's no one, like, they rotate penalties and free kicks. Like Vitinha takes a lot of their free kicks. So yeah, let's take a look at at Bayern, Man City, and Real Madrid. So Group C, there are a couple of sweaty teams, and by sweaty teams I mean teams that will prioritize defense. So Benfica and Boca Juniors will prioritize defense. Auckland City will prioritize defense, but it won't fucking help them because they're by far the weakest team in this tournament. So it's not the softest group defensively, because Benfica and Boca Juniors, they won't open up much. So look, based on pure quality, Bayern could rack up some goals against these two clubs, and they'll probably put a fucking baseball score on Auckland City. But Boca and Benfica could be tight and sweaty. If we look at Man City, again, a very sweaty group. Generally speaking, Arab teams like Al Ain, North African teams like Wydad, they're very tight, they're very sweaty, so are Italian clubs. So I don't see tons of goals in this group. And then Group H, Salzburg, wide open. Pachuca, again, a bit sweaty. And Al Hilal, wide open, all-out attack. So out of the group stages, I reckon the team likely to score most goals in the group stage, it's tough because you've got a very soft team in Auckland City with Bayern in Group C. But overall, Group H is a more open group because you've got Al Hilal and Salzburg, who are both very open, attack-orientated teams. And Pachuca are just nowhere near the level of Real Madrid. So Mbappe and Harry Kane, we will take Haaland out of the equation because that is a tight group. They'll sail through the group, but they may not sail through it by scoring tons of goals. Alright, into round of 16. So then Bayern are likely to play LAFC. LAFC fucking shocking defensively. They will concede goals in that game. And then Real Madrid will play Juve, which is a tight game. Into the next round, Real would play Borussia Dortmund. Bayern would play Atletico. Two sweaty games. And then Man City in the semis. Do you know what? I am going to go for Harry Kane to finish top goal scorer. And I will tell you why. Not only do Bayern Munich have a relatively comfortable path to a deep stage in the tournament, but I can also trust their attitude to be very good. Their attitude, their culture, they will work hard to win this tournament. And while Harry Kane will probably not be on free kicks, he will definitely be on penalties. And so with them being in a relatively weak group, even though there's a couple sweaty clubs, relatively weak group, Harry could rack up a lot. I mean, he could score fucking 3 or 4 against Auckland City alone. And I also think Bayern's first group game is against Auckland City. So it's not like they might win their first 2 games, qualify through the group, and then rest Harry in the third group game against Auckland City. If they were to play Auckland last, Harry will almost certainly play against Auckland City because it's their first group game. So we'll go Harry Kane top goal scorer. Alright, next market to take a look at. winner and top goal scorer. No, we ain't messing with that. That's too speculative. Do you know what? Before we go any further, what we should do is look at the group props, because this is where you can find a hell of a lot of value in situations where, you know, teams might, or the betting market's perception of some teams is that they're likely to do better than they actually are, right? So if we look at this group, straight away, I absolutely love Porto to win the group. Absolutely love that bet at 2.37. So we'll go for that. The only real risk of them not winning the group would be if, like I say, they don't have the best attitude. Their players aren't up for it, but it's a fucking $1 billion prize pool. So you'd think the owners, the managers would try and get them up for a game like this. But Porto to win the group. And then qualification, yes, at 1.44. I also like that. So Porto to qualify, and we'll go 3 units at 1.44. I would be amazed if that doesn't hit, guys. I would be absolutely flabbergasted. And I can't remember the last time I used that word. Porto to qualify, 1.44. Should be absolutely nailed on. That's an interesting one. Inter Miami to qualify, no. That's an interesting one. I want to be trying to play it as safe as possible with the group stages, though. The idea is to try and make enough money from these group stage props to bankroll our riskier bets on things like Harry Kane, top goal scorer. But yeah, Group A, I love those bets on Porto. We will give the others a miss. Group B, PSG to win the group. The props look a bit dead on this group, if I'm being honest. We will go 1 unit on PSG to win the group at 1.72, but don't love it. They've got a lot more firepower than Atletico Madrid, though. Group C, Bayern, Auckland, Boca Juniors, Benfica. Okay, so we will go for, there's some interesting bets here. We will actually go 1 unit on Benfica to qualify at 1.44. We will also go 1 unit on Boca not to qualify at 1.61. In fact, is that smart? Or is that essentially the same bet? Right? Because there's no chance Auckland... Yeah, okay. So that's where you can find a bit of extra value, right? We will go 2 units on Boca not to qualify, which is essentially the same bet on Benfica to qualify, because Auckland have no chance. Right? So you can see a bit of an arbitrage opportunity there, where that's basically the same bet. I mean, look at the odds on Auckland to qualify. Qualification, no, 1.005. So that's basically the same bet. But if you take this bet, you're getting much better odds. So we'll go 2 units on Boca not to qualify. Benfica and Bayern should sail through. Okay, Group D, Flamengo, Esperance de Tunis, Chelsea, and Los Angeles FC. Okay, so it's between Flamengo and LAFC here. I'm going to give this group a miss. It's very difficult to pick between LAFC and Flamengo. Group E, River Plate, Urawa Red Diamonds, Monterrey, Inter Milan. So Monterrey should qualify. Ooh, Monterrey to qualify 4.0. Yes, please. That's crazy. Qualify at 4.0. And again, this is where having knowledge of the teams come in, because look at how steep River Plate are to qualify. 1.33 versus Monterrey 4.0 plus 300. I'm telling you right now, Argentinian football is not what people think it is. River Plate, big name, but not a particularly good team. You know, Monterrey will have the Mexican fans behind them. It'll be like a home game for Monterrey. So yeah, we'll go 1 unit on Monterrey to qualify. Sergio Ramos leading the boys. Odds of 4.0 plus 300. Very generous on that. Group F. Fluminense and Borussia Dortmund should sail through there. And we will actually go... Do you know what? We have missed a few bets here. We will actually go... We need to back up. We need to go 3 units on Bayern to win Group C. I overlooked that at 1.50. We will go 3 units on Chelsea to win Group D at 1.57. Very confident Chelsea will win this group and do well and really go for it, because they were in a tournament that isn't taken a whole lot seriously this season, the Europa Conference League. They turned up for every game. They worked hard in every game. They won the tournament. So I'm very confident that they will perform well in this tournament too. They've also got American owners that will want them to do well in America for marketing, promotional reasons. So Inter Milan, they should absolutely walk this group. But I will hesitate on these odds and not go for it. Borussia Dortmund, we will go, 3 units on Borussia Dortmund to win Group F at 1.50. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything else. I'm trying to be conscious of keeping the video as short as possible, but also being pretty thorough here. Just want to make sure we're not missing any good opportunities there, because we would have been leaving a bit of money on the table if we would have passed on Bayern to win the group. Okay, this group we got Monterrey to qualify. This group, Fluminense to qualify. Odds are pretty dead. Alright, Group C. This odd's dead. That odd's pretty sewn up. And then Group H. Ooh, interesting. Very interesting. So Al Hilal to qualify, yes, at 2.25. So 1 unit on Al Hilal to qualify Group H at 2.25. Just refreshed. Alright. Cool. Got some good stuff there. The idea is that most of these bets should win. And so that would enable us to hopefully earn enough profit to free roll on all the kind of long shot type outrights we're going to be going for. So the next market we're going to be taking a look at is to reach final. Now, again, we've done well on these kind of bets in the past, just because we take the time to map out the most likely tournament tree and see which teams have a relatively easy path to the final. So PSG, Bayern and Man City should make it to the round to the quarterfinals pretty easily. Then Bayern have got Atletico, Man City, Inter Milan, and PSG have got Chelsea. I do like Bayern to make the semis. We're talking about Bayern again to reach final. 4.33 PSG. So let's take a look. Do you know what? Those semi-final games are likely so tough. I just don't think there's enough value in any of these odds to take it. Don't like it. So to reach semi-final, okay, we might dig something up here which could be pretty good. So to reach semis, let's see what PSG's path is like. So Atletico could throw a spanner in the works there. Palmeiras, Chelsea, Real Madrid, 2.25. The odds are pretty bad, aren't they? Bayern would play Atletico. Yeah, these odds are bad value, because where you would bet on Bayern Munich 2.62 to reach the semi-final, I don't think those odds would even be particularly good on Bayern to get past Atletico Madrid in the quarterfinals, who they're likely to meet. So you're getting a really bad deal on these odds. These are all a bit of a honey dick. So we will move on and go to the quarterfinals. We may find a little bit of value here. We'll see how it goes. So if we look at the quarterfinals, what we want to take a look at is teams that have a very easy path to the quarterfinals that we don't expect to make it to the semis. So what about Atletico? They should sail through the group, and then they could play either Palmeiras or Porto, which you'd expect them to beat both of, and then they would play Bayern in the quarters. So to reach the quarterfinals, Atletico 2.10. Who's got a really easy path to the quarters? Bayern have. Oof, 1.66. What have we already got on Bayern? Ha, if they go out in the group stage, we're fucking cooked. But anyway, what have we got? So we got Bayern to win the group, 1.5. And then they would likely play LAFC. They're going to play LAFC or Flamengo. So, yeah, you want to go 3 units on Bayern to make the quarterfinals at 1.66. Alright, the next quarterfinalists. Chelsea would play Benfica, and they should win that group easily. So 1.90. So we'll go 1 unit on Chelsea to make quarterfinals at 1.90. Okay. Who else have you got? So we've got Bayern, Inter Milan. Yeah, Inter should sail through that group. So what are the odds on Inter? 2.0. We'll have that 1 unit on Inter Milan to make quarter finals. Alright. Man City should sail through to 1.57. 3 units on Manchester City. Or actually, let's slow down a little bit because Juve are in their group. There's no guarantees they'll win that group compared to like Chelsea, Bayern, Inter Milan, who should walk their groups. Okay, so we'll slow down. We won't go for Man City. Next one, PSG. 1.57. Will they definitely win their group? Again, Atletico. Probably best not to mess with that. Next team, Chelsea or Benfica. Okay, Benfica's no picnic for Chelsea, so we'll pass on that. Borussia Dortmund should win their group easily. They should get past Monterrey, no problem at all. And even if Monterrey didn't finish second, it would either be Urawa or River Plate who Borussia Dortmund would almost certainly smash. So we'll go 3 units on Borussia Dortmund to make quarterfinals at 2.0. And then what else do we want? Final one, Real Madrid and Juve. That's it. You know, they should get past Juve, but we'll leave that out because they're probably, yeah, the odds are ridiculous. Okay, team exact group points. Let me think about this logically. My initial instinct is that this is an absolutely dead, very speculative, total gamblers market, which we want to avoid. However, let's think about this for a second. This is a new market I haven't seen before. Let's think about this for a second. If we look at Al Ahly, let's go through it systematically, group by group. If we look at Al Ahly, how many points are they likely to score in this group? They'll get beat by Porto. Best they can hope for. I'm just thinking some of these odds are quite extreme. Let's not mess with Al Ahly. Let's look at Al Ain. Because I do like a bet on Auckland City to get 0. The odds are terrible. I don't like Auckland City to get 0 at those odds. Thank you very much. I'm just going to scan through because we may find a gift. Just like we saw very generous odds on some of the other markets. If we really think deeply about this, we may be able to dig something up. So Alain Widad. Okay, Al Hilal. £4, the logic being they would win one game and then draw against either Pachuca or Salzburg and lose to Real Madrid. So they would beat one of these two clubs, get a draw in the other, lose to Madrid and go through. But the odds are pretty shit. When do they play? When do they play Real Madrid though? Is it the last game? No. One of the first. Alright. Auckland 0's terrible. Bayern. No. Benfica. How are we going to find anything here? There's just too many variables, I think. We probably want to sack this off. I just think there's too many variables. Yeah, we'll ignore this betting market. Too much can go wrong. To win group. Okay, we've kind of done this. Yeah, we've done this betting market just in a different format. Most assists. I'm not messing with that. Too many variables. Group qualification. We've done this as well. Group forecast. Okay. Okay, this is where we can get interesting. Okay. Okay, I like this. I like this a lot. I like this a lot. This is where we can do good. Okay, I'm setting up a little heading for this. Because this is where we could get some juicy odds. So if we go Porto first, Palmeiras second, 6.50. Love it. Love that. Love that. 6.50, generous. Group B, PSG first, Atletico second. Don't love it. Group C, Bayern first, Benfica second. Not bad. Okay, we'll go Bayern first, Benfica second. It's just Boca and Auckland City are so poor. Even though I don't love the odds, at the same time, I just can't see Boca getting a result against Benfica. So Group D, Chelsea first, LAFC second. Don't like it because it's a coin toss between LAFC and Flamengo. Group E, Inter Milan first. Whew. Yes, we will take that. Thank you very much. Inter Milan first, Monterrey second at 7.0. These are all one unit as well, by the way. We will go for that. Alright, Borussia Dortmund first, Fluminense second, 2.50, dreadful. Man City first, no, dreadful odds. And then you've got Group H, Real Madrid first, Al Hilal second. I don't love the odds just because on their day, Salzburg could cause Al Hilal problems because Al Hilal are wide open at the back. Alright, Group Duel forecast. Oh, we've already done this, I think. Oh, maybe we haven't. Okay, this is the two teams to go through. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Nice. Okay. So, yeah, we will go Group Duel forecast. We will go... We will avoid Group A because I don't think those odds are good enough. But we will take Group B and we will go PSG and Atletico at 1.57. We'll do 3 units on that because they're a lot better than Botafogo and Seattle Sounders. Group C, Benfica and Bayern, yeah. Okay, Group D. Chelsea and Flamengo. Nah, that we'll miss that one. Group E. Inter Milan and Monterrey. We've kind of already got a lot of risky sort of bets relating to Monterrey. Okay, Group F. Yeah, we will go 2 units on Borussia Dortmund and Fluminense. Next group, Inter Milan and Okay, we looked at that. Group G, Man City, Juve. They're going to sail through, aren't they? But the odds are steep. Real Madrid and Al Riyadh. Al Hilal. 2.5. Again, a lot of variables there. Salzburg can cause them problems on their day. So we'll give that a miss. Next betting market. To finish bottom of the group. Interesting. I've kind of been waiting for this one. Alright, so to finish bottom of this group, I would say it's more than likely going to be Al Ahly. But I wouldn't be surprised if they caused an upset against Inter Milan. Finish bottom, Inter Miami, sorry. To finish bottom of Group A, Al Ahly. Just because North African teams do tend to be very well organised defensively, and with how bad Inter Milan are defensively, I wouldn't be surprised if Al Ahly got something against Inter Miami. Do I keep saying Inter Milan? If I do, I'm very sorry. So, to finish bottom of Group A, Al Ahly at 1.72. We'll only go 1 unit. If I don't specify the units, like on these, it'll just be 1 unit. Okay, to finish bottom of Group B, almost certainly going to be Seattle Sounders, but I wouldn't bet that. Odds are too steep, and they do have home advantage. Group C, bet your house on Auckland City. Group D, very likely to be Esperance de Tunis. Group E, ain't this an interesting one? I'm going to go for a mad speculative bet and say River Plate. Could be completely wrong, but that's the type of prop I like. Because I think Urawa Red Diamonds are a better team, and Monterrey will, for the most part, have home advantage with how many Mexicans will turn up from. Group F. We'll give that a miss just because sometimes Ulsan Hyundai do struggle to score, even though they are a better team than Mamelodi Sundowns. Group G. Wydad and Al Ain. May as well flip a coin on it. And then Group H. Do we have an opportunity here? I think it's going to be Salzburg. Because again, Pachuca likely to get a couple of results, point here and there, with them having pretty much home advantage with the amount of Mexicans that will show up for him. We'll give that a miss though. Salzburg are a much better team than Pachuca. I just think the Mexican clubs might do a little bit better than expected because of the fans that are going to be behind them. Alright, outright forecast. What the hell is this all about? No, we're not messing with that. It's too speculative. Okay, and then finalists. We thought it would be PSG and Real Madrid, right? I can't imagine the odds are going to be particularly good on that. 26.0. Did we say it was going to be PSG and Real Madrid? No. They met each other in semis. Okay, that's why the odds are so good. Bayern and PSG. What are the odds on that? $26.0. Tough semis. But if you are in a position where you do end up with these semi-final games, you will almost certainly get an opportunity to hedge for profit. Potentially quite a nice profit as well. So Bayern's path again, LAFC, Atletico. PSG would play Chelsea or Palmeiras. That's not a bad path, is it? Bayern should definitely win this group. Atletico can throw a spanner in the works, to be fair. But I do like the odds on that. And again, guys, just remember, by taking that bet, you're putting yourself in a position to potentially make guaranteed profit. Because if PSG and Bayern get to the semis, which they should, you will be able to bet the other side of both games and lock in a guaranteed profit. So that's basically the same as like Bayern Munich to win the tournament outright. I don't think Bayern Munich will win the tournament outright, but I think they'll get until at least the semis, and then you can hedge out for guaranteed profit. So join my Discord to stay in the loop as to what we're doing as this tournament progresses. Better still, join my football betting group, and then you'll really get to know what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, because I'm going to be live betting all these games, and I think we're going to do very well. I think our edge is going to be massive on this tournament. So stage of elimination, interesting. Okay, so Group A, Al Ahly. Let's go stage of elimination. You can't even see what I'm writing now. Let me fix this a second. There we go. So stage of elimination. Okay. Stage of elimination. It's got to be group stage, right? Has to be. Yeah. Odds aren't great. And again, with these safer bets, we're just trying to fund our riskier bets. Like if Dow wins, we cover most of the risk put up on something risky like this, which means if we have made a ton of profit by the time you get to the deeper stage of the tournament based on the group results, you might just want to let this ride and free roll and see if you can hit a huge winner, right? The next betting market that we're going to be taking a look at is going to be stage of elimination. So, if we bring up our tournament predictor, we can see that it's going to be very difficult for Al Ahly to make it out of Group A, because Inter Miami and Palmeiras are more likely to qualify. So we will go 2 units on Al Ahly to be eliminated at odds of 1.36. So Al Ain, very likely, yeah, they'll go out in the group stages, but the odds are too steep. Al Hilal, very interesting. So I think they're pretty likely to go through out of the group, and then they would run into Manchester City in the round of 16, which is obviously very tough. That would be interesting. So that would be to go out in the last of 16. I actually do like that on Al Hilal to go out in round of 16 at 3.50. Atletico Madrid, where would they go out? I don't know why I keep selecting that either. So Atletico Madrid, very likely to go through out of this group. They would then meet Porto in the round of 16. Porto could be a tough game. We'll give Atletico a miss. Auckland, very likely to go out in the group stage. Bayern, very interesting. So how far can Bayern go? So Bayern would make it through the group. They would almost certainly make it through the round of 16. They would then run into Atletico, where it gets tough. What are the odds on them to go out in the quarters or semis? 6.0, 4.33. Can't see him going out before the quarterfinals. We'll give that a miss. Benfica. So very likely to make it out of the group. This is quite a weak group, probably one of the weakest groups. They would then play Chelsea in the round of 16. I don't see them getting through Chelsea. 2.50. The odds aren't great. We will give that a miss. Boca Juniors. Where are they likely to go out? Very, very likely out in the group stages. So we will go 2 units on Boca go out in group stage at 1.61. Borussia Dortmund, where are they likely to go out? So they would sail through this group. This is a very weak group. They would likely get past the team that finishes they'd get past any of them, and then they would likely run into Real Madrid in the quarterfinals. Interesting. This is predicting them to go out in the last of 16, but they'd likely play Monterrey in the last 16. So this is a really good value bet. Quarterfinals all day. Okay, Botafogo. They're very likely going to go out in the group stage. Yeah, we're not going to touch that. Odds are too steep. So Chelsea should sail through this group, should win the group. They would play Benfica and then PSG. That's not easy. So round of 16, 2.37. Quarterfinals, 4.33. I think they would have enough to get through Benfica. Probably not enough to get through PSG. We'll say 1 unit on Chelsea to go out in quarterfinals at 4.33. Those odds are quite generous, you know. Alright, Esperance Tunisia out in the group stage. Porto would likely play Madrid in the round of 16. We will give them a miss. Salzburg, very likely to go out in the group stage, but it is a tricky group because Al Hilal are very bad defensively. So I wouldn't rule out Salzburg going through. Flamengo. They are in the group with LAFC, Chelsea. Yeah, we're not going to touch that one. Very difficult. It's a toss-up between LAFC, Flamengo to go through. So Fluminense, very likely to go through out of this group. And then they would meet Inter Milan in the round of 16. Odds aren't great. We'll give that a miss. Inter Miami out in a group stage. Odds terrible. Inter Milan very likely would get to the quarterfinals, and then it gets dicey. Again, what's very interesting about these bets is you can take them now, and then it gives you an opportunity to hedge at guaranteed profit. Because if you look at it, right, so Inter Milan almost definitely going to make it out of this group. They would then either play Fluminense in the round of 16 or Borussia Dortmund. They'd have a good chance of beating either team. And then in the quarterfinals, they would either play Man City or Borussia Dortmund. Two tough games. They'd probably beat Dortmund, to be fair. But I like that, because what happens is, say Inter Milan get through to the quarterfinals, because they should, they should obviously get through the group pretty easily, and then beat Fluminense pretty easily. You're then in a situation where you've got a bet on Inter Milan at 4.0 to qualify, and you could probably bet the other side for even money to cover your bet on Inter Milan to qualify, and then you're free rolling essentially. If you get odds of like 1.80 on Man City to qualify, if this is how the fixtures end up going, then if Man City qualify, you only lose 0.2 units. Right? Because you only bet a unit on Inter Milan to go out in the quarterfinals at 4.0. But if Inter Milan go through, then you lose your unit on Man City, but you make 2 units profit. That's how you got to be thinking about these type of bets. You've got to be thinking, as these teams that we're betting to go out in the quarterfinals reach the stage in the tournament where they face a tough game, Instead of being greedy, you just got to take the guaranteed profit. Lock in the guaranteed profit, hedge out, take the money, and live the fight another day. So join the Discord, link in the description below, and we'll, talk to me about the Club World Cup every day. Better still, join my football betting group. Join my football betting group. Contact me directly if you're in the football betting group, and we'll help you through this. No problem. And I've lost where I am. There we go. Okay, so Juve, where are they likely to go out? So they would play Real Madrid in the round of 16. Interesting. Okay, the odds are terrible. LAFC, they would likely go out in the last of 16, but we're not touching it because they might not even get out the group. Mamelodi Sundowns out in the group. Man City, very likely will win this group. Very likely will beat Al Hilal. Then they run into Inter Milan. I think they beat Inter Milan as well, if I'm being honest with you. What is the odds on Man City to reach the semis? Not great, actually, considering they would face Inter in the quarterfinals, which is no picnic. We'll give that a miss. Monterrey, we've kind of got a few speculative bets on Monterrey already on the basis that they will get through with the market overestimating River Plate's capabilities. So we will pass on that because we've already got quite a few bets Monterrey related. We don't want to take too many losses if they don't make it out the group. I think we've probably got 2 or 3 units on them to make it out the group in various different bets as it is. So Pachuca, they'll likely go out in the group stage. It's going to be tricky. Salzburg and Al Hilal are better teams than Pachuca. Home advantage can only get you so far. Palmeiras, they should go through out of this group, but it comes down to Brazilian attitude, which isn't always the best. So we'll give that a miss. PSG, we got them as tournament winners, going all the way. Although, to be fair, I think any one of these 4 are likely to win. PSG, we'll give that a miss. Real Madrid, we'll give that a miss. River Plate, out in the group. Again, we've got a lot of bets relating to River Plate and Monterrey. Give that a miss. We'll give that a miss. Give that a miss. And we'll give that a miss. On to the next betting market. So we've done stage of elimination. Winners group. Nope, we ain't interested in that. Winning continent. Nope, we ain't interested in that either. Eliminated by penalty shootout. We're getting into just pure gambling bollocks now. Not interested in that. Golden Ball. Not interested in that. Highest scoring group. Okay, this one could be interesting. What we want to look at here is the teams in the groups that play the most open football and have the worst defensive records. So what we're looking at is teams that we know are all... we want a combination of teams that are all out attack versus teams that are very bad defensively. So if we look at this group, Porto, Palmeiras and Al Ahly are probably all pretty well organised defensively. We don't really want to touch this group. Group B. What's interesting about this group is you have 2 teams that are very well organised in Botafogo and Atletico Madrid. You have 2 teams that are wide open in Seattle Sounders and PSG. Group B. The problem with Group B is that you have 1 very high scoring team in PSG and 3 not so high scoring teams. Atletico and Botafogo are sweaty. Seattle just won't have the quality to score goals. Group C, again, it's tricky because Bayern are high scorers, but Benfica are a bit sweaty. Boca definitely sweaty. Auckland City are going to get fucking decimated in every game. So this could be a high scoring group, especially if Benfica and Bayern really go for it, because they're likely to both rack up. I mean, they could rack up 4, 5, 6 goals each on Auckland. Like, Auckland are by far, like, if you're talking about like ability levels, you've got like Auckland like down here, and you got PSG up at the ceiling, and then you've got like Mamelodi Sundowns, Ulsan Hyundai here, But like Auckland are a decent amount below even the other worst teams, like Mamelodi, Sundowns, and Ulsan. Like there's a big gap. Like Auckland dreadful. They're gonna get fucking violated in this group. So Group C, the odds reflect it. I should have checked the odds before I gave the huge speech. Unplayable. Group D. Nah. Forget I was going to say anything. Group E. Sweaty teams everywhere. Definitely not. Group F. Group F is interesting because it's quite an open group. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Mamelodi, Ulsan, and Fluminense all scored against Borussia Dortmund because of how open Borussia Dortmund play. This is a sweaty group. This is an interesting group. Pachuca, Salzburg, Real Madrid. Because Real Madrid have got a lot of firepower. So do Al Hilal. And Salzburg are all out attack. So the only sweaty team in this group is Pachuca. The other three teams very attack orientated. And even Real Madrid wide open at the back. Like, it's very rare they keep a clean sheet in La Liga. So out of all the groups, Group H is the one where you could get the most goals. Because if you look at it, right, even though you've got a total load of shit in Group C, Auckland aren't going to score. Boca Juniors don't have many goals in them. And Benfica's games against Boca and Bayern could be tight. So really you're relying on Bayern to do most of the goal scoring here. And they might rest players if if they win their first two games, they might take it easy, they might rotate, they might not super go for it in the group stage once it's clear they're going to win the group. So this is the only group with three wide open attack orientated teams. Like, I could see Salzburg, Hilal and Pachuca all grabbing a goal against Real Madrid. So it's more of a two-way thing, not just relying on the superior team to score. The weaker teams can score as well, which is different in the other groups. Like this one, Wydad and Al Ain might struggle. Hyundai, Mamelodi, Sundowns and Fluminense, they don't have the most quality, even though Dortmund are wide open. So Group F, Group H, F. Are the odds good enough though? Probably not, right? Group H though, I would say, has the potential to score the most goals. Just wish the odds were a bit better. We'll maybe come back to that. Highest scoring team. Okay. They've already clocked Bayern. Obviously, there's a running theme in this video. Bayern are likely to score a lot of goals in the group stage because Auckland are in their group. Any other candidates? No. It wouldn't surprise me, even though Real Madrid have had issues this season, with Xavi Alonso as the new manager and with them being in a group with two very open teams in Al Hilal and Salzburg, it wouldn't surprise me if Real Madrid finish highest scoring team. The odds are a bit dead on both. Lowest scoring teams, I would go Auckland. I would go Auckland City. I mean, look, they're big favourites, right? The odds are a bit shit, to be fair. Player goal milestones. Oh, now we're getting into some interesting stuff. Okay, let's think about this. So Lionel Messi, 2 or more goals. That's quite likely because he's on penalties and free kicks. And everything goes through him. And he's still creative, difficult to track. Although he is in a sweaty group. 3 sweaty teams, Palmeiras, Al Ahly and Porto. 2 or more, 1.5. The odds are a bit shit. Kane, 4 or more, 1.83. I could see him getting 4 against fucking Auckland alone. And this is, again, where we're looking at this. We want to be thinking about players who are likely to go deep in the tournament, right? More games that these players play, the more chance they've got of scoring goals. So 4 or more, 5 or more. You'd have to average a goal a game ideally in the group stages, wouldn't he, for you to feel good about this. Ousmane Dembele, 3 or more, will give that a miss. Girassi, I just don't rate him. Cole Palmer, 2 or more, 3 or more, that's shit. This is where you get into the proper gambling shit where they try and bait people into betting nonsense. Yeah, this is all shit. We ain't touching none of that. Team total goals. Okay. Interesting. Again, this might be total shit. We'll have a quick skim through. Bayern over 12.5. So the way I would work out if this is value is I would look at how many games Bayern are likely to play. And then I would calculate the average number of goals they'd have to score per game to hit that. So they would play 3 times in the group stage. 3, 4, 5, probably 6 games. So 12 points, I can already tell is not going to be a good bet. They'd have to score over 2 goals a game on average. I mean, they probably will, to be fair. They probably will, to be fair. They're that type of team. But Atletico 8. PSG are a high-scoring team, right? That is much more like it. So, because, you know, they could score 3 or 4 against Seattle Sounders, and then they're halfway to cash in that bet. So if you go, so they're likely to play the same number of games, right? 3, 4, 5, 6 games. 9.5 divided by 6. Yeah, they'd average 1.58 goals a game. That's probably going to hit. The odds are a bit shit, though, but it probably is going to hit. That's quite high for Palmeiras. In fact, should we take a look at the enders? You gotta be careful not to be baited into betting nonsense. That's mainly what I'm looking at here. Who's in Seattle's group? Because they will go for a Seattle. They got home advantage as well. That's a sweaty group, man. I was going to say, like, if they were in an open group, they could easily get 3 goals. But they are in a sweaty group. Like, Botafogo will give them nothing. Atletico will give them nothing. PSG, obviously the best team in the world right now. LA. I think this is all shit. Yeah, we'll give this a miss, boys. This is all a bit speculative. Team top goal scorer. Okay, here we go. This is where we can get good. This is where we can get interesting. Okay. Team top goal scorer. This is what I like to play. Mitrovic, Leonardo, Aldasari, Malcolm. So what I'm looking for here is opportunities to bet in kind of this mid-range, right? Remember I was saying when we were looking for top goal scorers for the whole tournament, we don't want to bet like the super favourites like the Mbappe and the Haaland because the odds are too short. What we want to be doing is betting on players in this mid-range that have a decent chance of finishing top goal scorer with a much better risk to reward ratio. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the groups and we're going to look at how many goals the team's likely to score, how far they're likely to go in the tournament, and then what we're going to be able to do is work out how many games these guys are going to be involved in and ultimately what chance they've got of finishing top goal scorer. So Mitrovic is going to be on penalties, but Aldasari scores a lot of goals. So does Malcolm. So does Milinkovic-Savic. Milinkovic-Savic more so off set pieces, predominantly corners. He's great in the air. Malcolm and Aldasari chip in with a lot of goals from out wide. They're in an open group as well. There's goals in this group, man. There are goals in this group. And they'd likely play Man City in the round of 16. And Man City don't keep a lot of clean sheets either. Mitrovic doesn't play the full 90 minutes either. So Malcolm scores a lot. Aldasari. Malcolm and Aldasari are like shouting at me here, but which one would you go for? I'm going to go for Aldasari. And again, if not stated, it's 1 unit. I'm just going for that mid-range long shot. Al Ahly. Problem with betting on top goal scorer at a club like Al Ahly is they're not likely to score many goals. So you could get one guy that scores off a fucking set piece, like a centre back or something off a set piece, and that's it. Everyone else that scores. Say for example, Al Ahly only score like 3 goals in the tournament, right? If their striker scores a goal and a centre back scores a goal off a corner, and then just a random midfielder scores a goal off a counter attack, then you're splitting the bet 3 ways. It's not going to be easy with Al Ahly only playing 3 games in this tournament, or likely only playing 3 games in this tournament, for any one of these players to score more than 1 goal, which is ideally what you'd need to take the whole bet down. And this is the problem with betting on something like Mitrovic as well, which is why I look at Al-Dassari. Because say, for example, both Mitrovic and Al-Dassari score 2 goals each, you're going to have to cut the odds in half. So if you cut the odds in half on Mitrovic, getting a pretty shit payout at odds of about 1.41, 1.42. So if you cut the odds on Al-Dassari, still getting 5.0 plus 400. So you got to think in terms of how many goals are these teams likely to score, how many games are they going to be involved in. Luis Suarez, total shit, to be honest, at this stage of his career. Just hasn't got it anymore. There's only one man here. Penalties, free kicks, Lionel Messi, top goal scorer. No one else has really got it in them in the Inter Miami team to score goals. Auckland, same issue as Al Ahly. They're not likely to score enough. Elise creates a lot of chances, man. Elise does have a lot of attempts on goal. You're looking at like Musiala 17.0, Elise 11.0. It won't be easy to outscore Kane, because Kane will be on penalties, but his odds do feel a bit wide. We'll give it a miss. We'll give that a miss. Atletico Madrid, Alvarez, Soloth. See, Griezmann. Because the thing about Atletico Madrid, they don't score tons of goals. And Soloth and Alvarez aren't great. Griezmann, I mean, Alvarez is likely going to be on penalties, but Griezmann sometimes take free kicks. He's brilliant. I'm going to go Griezmann. 7.5, that's quite surprising. PSG. Dembele, Barcola, Dewey, Kvaratskhelia, 9.0. There's just so many guys in the PSG team that can score goals, and there's no designated penalty taker or free kick taker. Because Kvaratskhelia takes a lot of free kicks. Vitinha can take the penalties. Fabian Ruiz can take the penalties. Hakimi takes penalties. Like, this might sound crazy. Forget I was going to say anything. Fucking forget I was going to say anything. Alright, Porto. Where's Samu? Or is he injured? Not listed. Interesting. Oh, there he is. I only read Amarodian. I was like, where's Samu? There he is. Samu Amarodian. Didn't know he was I thought his name was just Samu. But anyway, 1.90 minus 110. Odds too steep on that, and Porto aren't a team with a lot of goals in them, to be fair. Palmeiras, again, how many goals are they really going to score? It's tough to say. Very, very tough to say. For that reason, difficult to bet them. Botafogo. Did we say Botafogo are likely to make it through the group? We didn't, did they? No, they're in a tough group. That's the problem, right? With Atletico and PSG in their group. Again, if a centre-back nicks a goal, you know, off a corner or something like that, it's going to be really difficult for the striker to outscore them because they've only got 3 games to play. Same goes for Seattle Sounders. You've got to be thinking in terms of you don't want to be betting a guy in this odds range and then splitting the odds. You just don't want it. So Chelsea, Cole Palmer, Nicholas Jackson, Liam Delap, Pedro Neto, Madueke. Again, Cole Palmer is going to be on penalties, free kicks. I know his goal scoring's dried up a bit towards the end of the season, but see, if Tyreek George was going to get a lot of game time, 17.0. Those odds are kind of crazy, but he's going to be rotated up front with Nkunku and Jackson, and you don't know if how much he's going to start, and Delap now as well. So yeah, again, Chelsea's a tough one. Benfica, Pavlidis is the only one I would really take there. He's going to be on pens. Everything goes through him up front. Boca, Cavani. But the thing is, again with Boca, they're not going to score many goals. They're a low-scoring team. So even though Cavani should be the one that gets the most goals there, the odds are too short. You can't count on Esperance de Tunis to score many goals. Same goes for Flamengo. They're very likely going to go out in the group stage. Borussia Dortmund, I don't rate Garashi, but they don't have another natural focal point up front. Julian Brandt at 13.0 is interesting though. Fluminense, again, I don't want to be betting on top goal scorers for teams that are likely to go out in the group stages because they're unlikely to play enough games. Actually, they should go through to the round of 16, but then they run into Inter Milan. They're only got a chance to play 3-4 games. It's going to be tough to outscore, players that might just pop up and grab a random goal off a set piece. Urawa Red Diamonds, same sort of thing. Not going to be playing many games. Same with Mamelodi Sundowns. Same with Ulsan Hyundai. Although Bojanic scores a lot of goals for Ulsan Hyundai. Everything goes through Bojanic. So at 8.50, we will go for that because those odds are wide. And I feel he might also be on penalties. So we'll go with Bojanic. Inter Milan. See, Kalinoglu at 9.0 is a mad one. Because he's going to be on free kicks. Martinez probably on penalties. Kalinoglu does have a lot of attempts on goal. What group are they in? Yeah, they're likely to score goals in this group. And they're likely to make it to the quarterfinals as well. The odds on Kalinoglu are crazy. Let me just take a look at how... If he is on penalties. If he is on penalties, that might be a good bet. But I just want to make sure. I think he takes their penalties. But I need to make 100% sure. So we'll just click through some of these games. And we will try and find a game where they've had a penalty. I don't think they had a penalty in that game. We need to find who their penalty taker is. I'm sure it's Kalinoglu. Asllani, but he doesn't always start for them. In fact, he doesn't usually start for them. Wow, Asllani took a penalty there as well. Okay, so Asllani must be their penalty taker. But is he only starting more towards the end? I don't know. He doesn't usually start for him. It's rare you'll see Asllani start for Inter. So you can't say Aslani's the dedicated penalty taker. We need to find out, because the odds on Kalinoglu are generous. Yeah, Kalinoglu. I thought he was. Just want to double check and see one more example. I am sorry, boys, to drag this out, but it's quite an important detail. Like I say, Messi almost finished top goal scorer in the World Cup purely based on free kicks and penalties. So if a guy is on penalty duty, it's quite a big deal. See, they mix it up. Martinez took the pen. So we've got 3 penalty takers. Have they not got a designated penalty taker? We've got Kalinoglu, Aslani, and now Lautaro. Nah, fuck it. I'm gonna just give that a miss. Sorry, boys, to waste your time there. Alright, Monterrey. Sergio Ramos, he'll be taking the free kicks and pens. Campos, obviously, up front. Or out wide, I should say. Man City, interesting. So, odds on Haaland are steep. We'll give that a miss. Real Madrid. We'll give that a miss. Salzburg. They could really struggle. So again, if they're only playing 3 games, dangerous to take these bets. Pachuca. Again, same thing with Pachuca. They're likely to go out. So you don't want to take that. Alain. Same. Juve are difficult to call because they rotate up front so much. But Moani does play for them more so than Vlahovic. Consecao has been scoring a lot lately as well. They do. The problem with Juve, they rotate a lot. I guess, would Gonzalez be on penalties? Oh no, it'd be Douglas Luiz. And he's a fucking knucklehead. So, but then Douglas Luiz doesn't always play. That's a tough one. And then Buanga's the only guy I would consider for LAFC. And the odds are pretty terrible. Alright, so we got a few there. Not too many, to be fair. A couple of good value ones, but nothing too crazy. We don't want to place too many bets like that because they're kind of risky. They're kind of speculative. So, who will progress the furthest? Interesting. Okay, I think they're both going to go out in a group. Bayern or Dortmund? Yeah, that's a bit of a trap. Bit of a trappy trap because they've both got tough games in the quarters. Okay, so Atletico or Real Madrid? Odds are dreadful on Madrid. Benfica or Porto? Let's have a look, shall we? Porto and Benfica very likely to go through. And then most likely going to go out at the same time. What would happen if they both go out in the same round? I'm guessing that's a push. LAFC or Monterrey? Tough to call because we don't know even if LAFC are going to make it out of the group. But then does that mean we should take Monterrey because they'll almost certainly make it out of this group. But then River Plate, it'll be tight. Man City or Chelsea? Odds not good on Man City. Boca or River Plate? Ooh, they're both likely going to go out in the group. Milan or Juve? So Milan have a much easier game in the round of 16. What are the odds on Milan? Not great, but I would say Milan's likely to hit there. Tournament totals. What the fuck is all... Oh, we ain't fucking with all that. That's pure gambling shit. Furthest progressing Serie A team. Interesting. Okay. Palmeiras, Botafogo, Flamengo, Fluminense. So out of the 4 Brazilian teams, Fluminense and Palmeiras are likely to go through. Then Palmeiras would play PSG, Fluminense would play Inter Milan. They're 2 of them likely to go out in around the 16. So odds are dead on that. Player assist milestones, we ain't taking that because that's pure gambling as well. So there we go. I hope you found that useful. Those are our prop bets, our tournament props for the FIFA Club World Cup. Don't forget to check out my football betting group. You will absolutely love it. Don't forget to check out the Club World Cup Predictor. You can find a link in the description below for that. Join the private league I've set up. Compete, see how we can do. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Take care, everybody. Hope you all have a very, very good tournament. I hope we can make some money. Hope we can make a good profit from these bets. I think we've got some real good props here. Very confident we'll make a profit overall. Maybe we'll do a follow-up video in the future celebrating. Remember, that's a lot of bets. Don't overexpose yourself. Manage your bankroll correctly. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Take care. See you in another video very soon. Nice one, guys. Bye.